What's up, Wrestling Verse family? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're watching this, you already know something insane just went down at WWE Crown Jewel. Before we dive into the absolute chaos that unfolded, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell because you do not want to miss a single upload. Today we're breaking down one of the most shocking, most controversial, and most talked about moments in recent WWE history. Bronson Reed has defeated Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, but the way it happened has the entire wrestling world completely divided. This is the kind of finish that will be debated for years to come. So buckle up, grab your favorite snacks, and get ready because we're about to dissect every single detail of this historic moment. Let's jump right in. Let me paint the picture for you, Wrestling Verse family. Coming into Crown Jewel, the tension surrounding this match was absolutely electric. This wasn't just another match on the card. This was personal. This was about dominance. This was about proving who truly stands at the top of the WWE mountain. Roman Reigns has been the guy for what feels like forever. The tribal chief, the head of the table, the original tribal chief. This man has conquered legends, destroyed challengers, and built an empire around the bloodline that seemed completely unbreakable. His reign of dominance has been one of the most impressive in WWE history. But every dynasty faces challenges, and Bronson Reed has been positioning himself as the ultimate threat. The colossal one has been absolutely devastating everyone in his path. Week after week, we've watched Reed deliver multiple tsunamis, stack bodies, and send a clear message that he's coming for the throne. Reed didn't just ask for this match, he demanded it. He called out Roman on live television, saying the tribal chief's time was up and that a new monster was taking over WWE. Those are fighting words that Roman Reigns simply could not ignore. When Roman accepted the challenge, you could feel the magnitude of what was about to happen. This was going to be a collision of two absolute monsters, two men who refused to back down, two competitors who would do absolutely anything to prove they're the most dominant force in professional wrestling. The build-up over the past few weeks has been incredible. We saw backstage segments with the bloodline strategizing, with the Usos pledging their loyalty to their tribal chief. Jay and Jimmy promised they would have Roman's back no matter what. Solo Sikoa stood menacingly in the background, ready to enforce the bloodline's will. But here's what made this build so fascinating, Wrestling Verse family. If you were paying close attention, there were small cracks showing in the bloodline's foundation. Little moments where Jay seemed hesitant about Roman's orders. Brief conversations between the twins that Roman wasn't part of. Subtle tensions that made you wonder if everything was really as solid as it appeared. WWE masterfully planted those seeds of doubt without making it obvious. They made you question whether the bloodline was truly united or if the pressure and Roman's demands were starting to create fractures. That underlying tension made this match even more intriguing. When Crown Jewel night arrived, the atmosphere was absolutely incredible. The production value was off the charts, the crowd was buzzing with anticipation, and you could feel that something special was about to happen. This wasn't just another show, this was a moment that felt genuinely important. Bronson Reed made his entrance first, and the intensity radiating from this man was palpable. No smiles, no pandering to the crowd, just pure focus and determination. Reed walked to that ring like a man who had already decided he was leaving as the victor. The confidence, the swagger, the absolute belief in himself was on full display. Then came Roman Reigns, and wow, the tribal chief's entrance was everything you'd expect. The Usos flanked him on both sides, presenting their leader like the king he believes himself to be. Roman had that championship confidence, that aura of invincibility that he's carried for years. You could see in his eyes that he truly believed there was no possible way he could lose this match. The stare down before the bell was intense. Two massive men, face to face, neither willing to blink first. The referee had to physically separate them just to get the match started. That's when you knew we were in for an absolute war. The bell rang, and these two immediately started throwing hands. No feeling out process, no technical wrestling to start, just pure aggression. Reed and Roman traded heavy strikes that echoed throughout the arena. Each shot sounded like a car crash. This was a fight, plain and simple. Reed used his size and power advantage early, throwing Roman around the ring like he was nothing. A massive shoulder tackle sent the tribal chief crashing to the mat. A devastating clothesline nearly took Roman's head clean off. The Colossal One was making a statement from the opening moments. But Roman Reigns didn't become the tribal chief by being easy to beat. He weathered the early storm and started using his ring intelligence and veteran experience. A well-timed Superman punch rocked Reed. Roman targeted the legs, trying to chop down the bigger man. He was working smart, not just hard. The back and forth was incredible. Wrestling vs. family. Every time one man seemed to gain control, the other would find a way to fight back. Reed would hit a devastating power move, then Roman would counter with precise strikes. The chemistry between these two was absolutely on point. Around the 10-minute mark, the Usos started getting more involved. They would distract Reed when he had momentum, pull on his leg when the referee wasn't looking, and generally do everything they could to give Roman an unfair advantage. This is classic bloodline tactics that we've seen countless times. Reed wasn't intimidated though. At one point, he caught Jey Uso trying to trip him and absolutely launched himself over the top rope with a suicide dive that took out both Usos. The crowd went absolutely crazy. Bronson Reed was fighting not just Roman Reigns but the entire bloodline, and he wasn't backing down. The match continued to escalate. Roman hit a drive-by on the outside that sent Reed crashing into the announce table. Reed responded by powerbombing Roman onto the steel steps. The brutality on display was shocking. Both men were absolutely destroying each other. As we passed the 15-minute mark, both competitors were showing signs of exhaustion. They had given everything they had, but neither was willing to quit. Roman went for a spear, but Reed caught him and countered into a Samoan drop. Reed climbed for a tsunami, but Roman rolled out of the way at the last second. The near falls were coming fast and furious. 2 count after 2 count. The tension in the arena was building to an almost unbearable level. You genuinely couldn't predict who was going to win this match. Both men had showcased why they're at the top of the WWE food chain. Now here's where everything changed. Wrestling vs. family. Roman was getting frustrated that he couldn't put Reed away. He looked to the outside and signaled to the Usos. Jey and Jimmy immediately understood what their tribal chief wanted. It was time to take matters into their own hands. The Usos slid into the ring while the referee was momentarily distracted checking on some debris in the corner. Their plan was clear. They were going to hit Bronson Reed with simultaneous superkicks and end this match right now. Roman would get the win, the bloodline would stand tall, and business as usual would continue. But professional wrestling is unpredictable, and what happened next will go down in WWE history as one of the most shocking moments ever. The Usos charged at Reed, both loaded up with superkicks. But Reed, with incredible awareness and reflexes, ducked at the absolute last possible second. Smack. Smack. Both superkicks connected flush with Roman Reigns' jaw. The sound of boot meeting face echoed throughout the entire arena. The tribal chief's eyes rolled back in his head, and he collapsed to the mat like he'd been shot. The Usos stood there in complete horror, realizing what they'd just done. The crowd absolutely erupted. The noise was deafening. Half the arena was gasping in shock, the other half was going absolutely insane with excitement. Nobody could believe what they'd just witnessed. The Usos had accidentally knocked out their own tribal chief. The look on Jey and Jimmy's faces was pure devastation. Their hands went to their heads in disbelief. They immediately dropped to their knees next to Roman, trying to shake him awake, apologizing profusely, but the damage was done. Roman was completely unconscious in the middle of the ring. Bronson Reed looked at the chaos unfolding before him and made the smart decision. While the Usos were panicking over their fallen leader, Reed grabbed Jimmy Uso and threw him over the top rope like he was tossing a bag of garbage. Jey tried to attack, but Reed caught him with a massive spinebuster that nearly broke him in half. Now it was just Reed and the unconscious Roman Reigns. The referee had completely lost control of the match but was still trying to maintain some semblance of order. Reed looked at the prone body of the tribal chief, then looked up at the top turnbuckle. Everyone in the building knew what was coming next. Reed climbed to the top rope, the entire arena holding its breath. He stood tall, surveying his target, and then launched himself through the air. Tsunami. All 330 pounds came crashing down on Roman Reigns with devastating force. The impact was so violent that the entire ring shook. But Reed wasn't satisfied with just one. He rolled off Roman, struggled to his feet, and climbed the turnbuckles again. The crowd was going absolutely bananas, counting along as Reed positioned himself. Tsunami number 2. Roman's body literally bounced off the canvas from the impact. The referee was checking if he should stop the match, but Reed was already climbing for a third time. This was overkill. This was making a statement. This was Bronson Reed cementing his dominance. Tsunami number 3. Roman Reigns was absolutely obliterated. Reed draped his arm over Roman's chest for the cover. The referee dropped to count. 1. The crowd counted along. 2. This was really happening. 3. The bell rang, and history was made. Bronson Reed had defeated Roman Reigns at WWE Crown Jewel. The place went absolutely insane. Fans were jumping out of their seats, some in celebration, others in complete shock. The commentators were losing their minds trying to process what just happened. Bronson Reed slowly got to his feet and had his arm raised in victory by the referee. Reed stood tall in the center of the ring, arms raised, soaking in this monumental victory. He had just defeated the Tribal Chief, the most dominant WWE superstar of this generation. This was without question the biggest win of Bronson Reed's entire career. Meanwhile, the Usos were absolutely beside themselves at ringside. Jay was sitting on the floor with his head in his hands. Jimmy was pacing back and forth, looking like he wanted to throw up. They had just cost their Tribal Chief the biggest match he'd had in months. The weight of their mistake was crushing them. Roman eventually started coming to, and when he realized what had happened, the emotion on his face was gut-wrenching. First confusion, then realization, then pure rage. He looked at the Usos outside the ring with eyes that could kill. His own family had cost him everything. The Tribal Chief slowly pulled himself up using the ropes. The crowd was silent, waiting to see what would happen next. Roman grabbed a microphone from ringside, and you could cut the tension with a knife. When he spoke, his voice was filled with venom and disappointment. You two had one job. Roman's words cut through the silence like a knife. I trusted you. I gave you everything. And you embarrass me like this. The Usos were trying to explain, trying to apologize, but Roman wasn't hearing it. He told them there would be severe consequences for their failure. Solo Sikoa made his way down to ringside, that cold emotionless expression on his face. The enforcer of the bloodline looked at the Usos with disgust. You could feel the tension about to explode into something violent. But before anything could happen, WWE officials flooded the ringside area to separate everyone. The show went off the air with Bronson Reed celebrating his victory on the ramp while the bloodline imploded in the ring. It was chaos, it was dramatic, and it was absolutely perfect television. So what does all this mean moving forward? Wrestling vs. family. Let's break down the implications because they are massive. For Bronson Reed, this victory is absolutely life-changing. He just pinned Roman Reigns clean in the middle of the ring at a major premium live event. This instantly makes Reed a main event player. He can now challenge for any championship he wants, and nobody can question whether he deserves it. Reed's stock has never been higher. This win validates everything he's been saying about being the most destructive force in WWE. The momentum he has right now is incredible, and WWE would be smart to capitalize on it immediately. For Roman Reigns, this is devastating on multiple levels. Not only did he lose, but he lost because of his own family. The foundation of the bloodline, which is loyalty and family, has been shattered. How can Roman ever trust the Usos again? How can the bloodline move forward after this? The internal drama within the bloodline is going to be appointment television. Will Roman punish the Usos? Will he kick them out of the bloodline? Will they have to prove their loyalty all over again? The storytelling possibilities are endless. Jay and Jimmy Uso are in the worst position imaginable. They made a genuine mistake trying to help their tribal chief, and now they're facing his legendary wrath. The guilt and fear they showed after the match was heartbreaking. They know Roman doesn't forgive easily. There's potential for the Usos to turn face out of this. If Roman becomes too harsh in his punishment, the audience might start sympathizing with the twins. They could break away from the bloodline and finally stand on their own. That would be a major shakeup. Solo Sikoa's role is fascinating too. He's been the loyal soldier, but with the Usos potentially on the way out, does Solo see an opportunity to rise higher in the bloodline hierarchy? Could he become Roman's new right-hand man? Solo is smart and calculating, so watch for him to make moves. From a pure wrestling perspective, this match delivered everything it promised. The physicality was intense, the storytelling was excellent, and the finish created legitimate drama. Both men came out looking like absolute stars. The finish, while controversial to some, was brilliant booking. It advances multiple storylines simultaneously. It gives Reed a huge win while also protecting Roman by making it clear he didn't lose clean. It creates internal bloodline drama that can be milked for months. Social media has been exploding since this match ended. Fans are passionately debating whether this was the right call. Some love the unpredictability and drama. Others wanted a cleaner finish. That debate and discussion is exactly what WWE wants. Wrestling journalists are calling this one of the most shocking moments of the year. The conversation around this finish will dominate podcasts and YouTube channels for weeks. That kind of buzz is invaluable for keeping WWE in the cultural conversation. Other WWE superstars have been posting reactions too. Some are congratulating Reed. Others are subtly taking shots at Roman's weakened position. A few seem to be reaching out to the Usos. The ripple effects are spreading throughout the entire roster. Looking ahead, there are so many exciting directions this can go. Does Reed move on to challenge for championships? Does Roman demand a rematch? Does the Bloodline Civil War become the main storyline on SmackDown? Every option is compelling. There's also the possibility of new alliances forming. Maybe other superstars who have beef with the Bloodline see this as their opportunity to strike. Maybe Reed aligns with someone. The landscape of WWE just shifted dramatically. Championship implications are huge. If Reed is now established as someone who can beat Roman Reigns, why shouldn't he get immediate title shots? The champions should be looking over their shoulders because a new monster is at the top of the mountain. For Roman, this could actually lead to interesting character development. We haven't seen him truly vulnerable in years. How does he respond to this adversity? Does he become more paranoid? More vicious? More desperate? Those are fascinating questions. The Bloodline saga has been one of the best long-term storylines in modern WWE. This moment adds another incredible chapter. The eventual resolution, whether it's reconciliation or complete destruction, will be must-see television. Historical precedent shows that faction breakups create legendary moments. The NWO, DX, Evolution, The Shield, all had dramatic splits that fans still talk about. The Bloodline has that same potential if booked correctly. This match also elevated Crown Jewel as an event. Having such a consequential finish proves that major things can happen at any premium live event. That keeps fans invested throughout the year, not just for the big four shows. The international audience got to witness history. They were part of a moment that will be replayed in video packages for years. That's the value of WWE's global expansion, creating these special moments around the world. From a business standpoint, this finish guarantees massive viewership next week. Fans need to know what happens with the Bloodline. They need to see how Roman responds. That's perfect booking to drive interest and ratings. Merchandise sales will be interesting to watch too. Reed just became a much bigger star, which means his products will sell better. Meanwhile, Bloodline merchandise might see shifts depending on how this story plays out. The unpredictability of this finish is refreshing. In an age where fans think they know everything, WWE surprised us. That's increasingly difficult to do, and they pulled it off perfectly. The shock value was tremendous. The physicality deserves recognition too. Both men beat the hell out of each other. Those tsunamis looked absolutely devastating. Roman took a serious beating. The punishment made everything feel real and consequential. The referee did excellent work managing the chaos. He let the match flow naturally without over-officiating, which was crucial for a match of this magnitude. Sometimes referees are unsung heroes, and that was definitely the case here. This represents WWE's willingness to take creative risks under Triple H's leadership. They could have played it safe with a Roman win. Instead, they chose drama, unpredictability, and compelling television. That's the kind of decision-making that creates memorable moments. Alright, Wrestling vs. Family, That's the complete breakdown of Bronson Reed's shocking upset victory over Roman Reigns at WWE Crown Jewel after the Usos accidentally super kicked their tribal chief. This moment will be talked about for years. Now I need to hear from you. What did you think of this finish? Was it the right call? Where does the bloodline go from here? Will Roman forgive the Usos? What's next for Bronson Reed? Drop all your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, absolutely smash that like button. Subscribe to Wrestling Verse for all the latest WWE news, match analysis, and predictions. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Share this with every wrestling fan you know because this is the kind of moment that demands discussion and debate. Let's keep the conversation going across all platforms. Until next time, Wrestling Verse family, this has been your complete coverage of one of the most shocking finishes in WWE history. Keep watching, keep believing, and remember, in WWE, anything can happen. See you in the next video. Peace.